I'm going to dive right into it. When Mel died, we had a memorial for him, and a few of you here, Nancy, Sharon, Terry, Tina, have heard this, blessed. It's my elegy to Mel that really describes him well, but let me just say, Mel's from the Bronx. He was born around 1932, and he loved Jenny and Pomi Vega. He was a good friend of Ira's, and he had mixed feelings about Marty Matz. But we had lots of mutual friends in common, and geography is destiny. We both lived real close to each other, so this is Mel Clay. For Mel, and then I will close with a real recent piece of his before he died, Fallen Angel, about a pop culture figure. I didn't know who she was. Her name is Anna Nicole Smith. And, Mel introduced me to many things. Okay. I miss him very much. For Mel Clay, beloved distinctive friend. I'd see Mel most every day. Since 1983, we've lived 2 blocks away from each other. He'd always say, "See you tomorrow." He often called and left demanding messages. If I didn't respond fast enough, he'd chew me out in the street. Geography is destiny. He made me delicious dinners in his hotel room. He really knew how to sweat the eggplant. It was a pleasure dining with Mel. He was very mindful about food. He learned a lot in India. He loved Henry Miller, Blaise Cendrars, and Louis Ferdinand Celine. He loved Camus, fishnet stockings, high heels, meeting new people, always reading a new piece. It had to be new. He called it a body of work. He thought Casablanca and The Wizard of Oz were the best films. Mel knew how to make me laugh and be abusive at the same time. He was mean and always funny. He was loving and generous. He told me the most private things and expect me to do the same. Once I sent him a chapbook that he hated so much, he flung it across the room. I loved his passionate critiques and interest. He celebrated my love for the Cuban Revolution and always remembered 26th July. He remembered St. Joseph's Day, patron saint of the poor. Truest New Yorker, Mel could raconteur not one extra word, fast and smooth. If I was in the mood, it was a sure thing. If I didn't have time when he wanted, he might attack and tell me, "Get a life." Mel always smelled good. Mel was old school. Once the 3 of us went to the circus. Mel had many appreciations. Mel was very good when Moon was dying. He knew how to keep the vigil. He was superstitious about taking Moon's elegant shoes, but he wanted the ancient jade Moon wore every day. He gave me a border crossing amulet when I left for Paris with part of Moon's ashes. Mel and Blessed share a birthday. This year he called the day after on August 5th to thank me for the words in his card. He wanted me to take the flowers sent by his son. He said, "Give me an hour and I'll be in front of my building." I brought him some rhubarb apple crisp made the day before. His face lit up. "This is just what I need." He took the paper plate. I took the huge shopping bag full of flowers. He was yellow and hollow and dressed in his tuxedo. We hugged for a long time. I never knew he was sick. I knew I'd never see him again. Oh, the fierce courage to walk out the door each day. A writer needs to mingle, are the words of Mel Clay. And Mel died in September 2011. So that's when that was written, and this was delivered. He was very generous with his projects. He always gave me lots of copies. And this is called Fallen Angel, and I'm just going to read a couple sections. Mel was a playwright, an actor, and a true theater man. He had a long time with the Living Theater. And well, I gave you an idea of he loved doing adaptations of Camus. Fallen Angel. A slow night in a Houston strip club. Barely legal, no cover, naked lap dancers. He was a regular, came in around closing with his nurse, couple good old boy bodyguards, the wheelchair, the oxygen tanks. Girls called him the man in the white hat. Big tipper, champagne rounds all night. The fake strip club gassed up lemon soda. She was his favorite, the ghost of a long-lost love. Never forgot that summer night, all those West Texas stars. Back seat of his convertible, listening to Lester Young. The pleasure that comes from memory, running the pictures, her long legs, the little white socks, shimmied over the back seat. Reverse cowgirl on his lap, leaning forward, leaning back, giving him a look. The long line of her back, the crack of her ass. She squirmed down all of it, took it all, brought his hands up under her t-shirt to feel her breasts. How hot she was, like hot oil, like pancakes and syrup. She was his favorite. Now, later, fast forward from his life of natural gas and oil holdings, a fortune as big as all Texas. Now, as each troubled breath, maybe the last, all he wanted is to let him watch her dance, pose, take her panties off, turn his face into an ice cream sundae, and come in his mouth. She went home with him that night. The boys wheeled him to the car, a big white caddy, with a driver dressed in a tuxedo. The place was a mansion, like Graceland, all white, fields all around with cotton, a stable. She could hear the animals. They let her ride a big white mare. In the big bedroom, mirrors everywhere, she watched herself slow dance for him, watched him prop up in bed, got in bed beside him, the dry wheeze of his breathing, like that, till she was scared he would break up into lots of brittle parts. When the coughs turned into satisfied snoring, she went home. The boys drove her, paid her $3 grand in crisp new hundreds. She spread them over the pillow in the hotel, slept on them, and dreamed of 36-hour slow-grilled Texas brisket. He came back next night, asked her to marry him. He was 89, a billionaire. She was 26, a tall blonde who could light up a room, light up what was left of the cotton candy, mind of an old man. She made him wait 2 years. Is a bride a prisoner of her wedding bed? They got married. She was happy that day. The doctor didn't have to slap her to get her heart working. When the kind old gentleman, an angel in a white hat, died a year later, she put her fingers in his mouth. Out the window, a Mustang pony grazed. The boys stood around sad. Now she could cut out, clear blue, pretty, pretty. A tall blonde on the flying trapeze. He left her $500 million. She always said she loved him. Wrap it up. She wants to kick back, get high, fuck, have some laughs, be late, not show up, act stupid, a backstage pass to real girly life, all access, get fat, let her roots grow out, some days looking like she rolled out the tumble dry she wanted to drink, Lone Star, the back patio ice house, the smell of sawdust, listen to Bobby Blue Bland, go down to 7-Eleven, nachos, Fritos, pralines and smothered pork, squash casserole, turkey and dressing, cornbread, sweet butter. She was born hungry. Now she wants to eat. And the drugs chased away all questions, transported her to another place, a painless place without the anguish of ambition, a play region, the warmth closing in on herself, a big pile of blondness without bone or nerve, Feeling turns inward, playing with her own pussy, and the song of singing underwater. The county medical examiner and forensic pathologist announced her death due to combined drug intoxication, not homicide or suicide. 11 prescription drugs mixed with the peach cobbler killed her. We know the world made her drink the blue soup. Finally, all peace, no Sundays left to lose. Flame in, flame out. Mel Clay, rest in peace.